Ellen Lamotte is born in 1873 in Kentucky, USA. In 1915, she volunteers to work as a nurse in Europe. In a field hospital a few kilometers behind the front in Belgium, she is confronted with the atrocities of the trench warfare. For hours, days and weeks, she sees soldiers suffering and dying. Ellen does what she can to help them.
There are enough people to describe the noble and heroic side of war. I have to write you what I've seen, the other side.
Ellen decides to write down her experience. She describes her impressions, feelings, and thoughts as realistically as possible. In Paris, December 1915, she writes,
Here lay Felix, fast asleep. Poor, short-tempered Felix. Next to him was Alphonse, sedated by morphine after an unbearable day. And here lay Hippolyte, in hospital due to appendicitis. But where was the difference? Wasn't all of this a dead-end street? Patching men back up to send them to the trenches again?
April 5th, 1915, she reports,
Rothschild died today. He had gas gangrene. A piece of shrapnel from a German grenade cut off his thigh from knee to hip. The stench was horrible. Moreover, Rothschild had a fractured skull. Another piece of grenade had punctured his ear and gotten stuck in his brain. The night sister reported he had gone through a miserable night. C'est la pique! C'est la brûle! He had been shouting all the time. Only death could soften the pain like this. All night she listened to his screams. The piece of iron in his brain started making his mind cloudier. Nobody can think straight with a piece of German grenade the size of a thumb in his brain. Another night, Rothschild screamed of misery, turning from the hip that was still there onto the hip that was gone. Rothschild died slow. He stopped fighting. He stopped crying. He was decorated with the Médaille Militaire by the local general the night before, after his return from the operation room. Little Rothschild, the little man. Gardener, 39 years old, widower with one child.
But some patients aren't only suffering from physical injuries. The continuous fighting and bombardments also have a devastating mental impact on soldiers at the front. One time, a deserter is brought in the hospital.
When he couldn't stand it any longer, he put a revolver in his mouth and fired. But he made a mess of it. The bullet blew his left eye away and got stuck under his skull somewhere. So they lifted him in an ambulance and brought him cursing and screaming to the nearest field hospital. He was a deserter. He had to be treated to make him healthy again, so that he could be put against the wall and then shot. This is war.
As a nurse, Ellen experiences war as a machinery of death and destruction, opportunism, indifference, and vain ambition. Based on her experiences, she writes the book The Backwash of War. Because her stories are giving a not hopeful or heroic version of the war towards the American public, her book is banned in the USA during the war until 1934.